Ghostwire Tokyo is a game that took the concept of getting isekai'd into another world and transformed it into a horror game that gets the best couple in anime history broken up and causes millions of dollars in damages to a random Japanese city. I'm shocked that this is even real, but dear god, if this is what happens when isekais collide, then we're all screwed. Set both in Tokyo and Shibuya City, Tokyo, we play as the absolute weak and kind of a chode protagonist named Thumping Kirito on his quest to preserve his relationship of anime's best couple by saving Asuna from the Masked Singers, but at the same time saving Japan from the Masked Singers as well, as they're just casually shadow bombing everyone's souls to merge the realms of life and death together, just so one dude can both live with his daughter and wife, as well as sit for them. Jesus, Japan's anime ideas have led to video games now, haven't they? We're literally making the Shadowlands show up in a Japanese-made horror game, like, come on. During his journey, Kirito will meet many people and discover many wonders, such as sexy ghost women, the horrors that were created thanks to Gasai Yuno using his fists to fist things, as well as shooting magic out of his now blackened hand, implying that he's both white and black, so no one's winning the race war today. So sit back and grab your popcorn, because I'm about to head into the realm of no return. Japan loves to make some weird shiz sometimes. Don't get me started on the anime. So it would only make sense that something like this would make its way to the gaming industry. Regardless, it's a new and unique take on the horror genre, whilst using a vast open world full of things to collect throughout its rather strange alleyways. Fun and exciting gameplay elements that will make you wonder if you're part of a cult, and above all else, lots of funny jokes and innuendos that make no sense whatsoever. Although admittedly that's kind of my fault, not the game's fault. This is Ghostwire Tokyo. Before we get into the main game, let's go over everything that you need to know about Ghostwire Tokyo, since I ain't explaining any of this midway through the video. Ghostwire Tokyo takes place in Shibuya, a smaller segment of Tokyo, Japan. If you've ever seen the Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, and that one scene where they drift through the crowd in the street and the girl is like, "Holy shit, this is kinda hot." Yeah, that's Shibuya. Regardless, a group of people known as the Masked Singers want to bridge the gap between the realms of life and death, and allow both realms to be together once again. Sounds like that one expansion from World of Employee Harassment. To do this, they suck the souls out of everybody in Shibuya, except for two people, our protagonist Akito, Kirito, and his sister Mari, who in this case we're calling Asuna solely for a joke.
What the fuck is this? That is not funny.
Turns out, Asuna is the final piece to the group's plan, and with the help of some people like Talking Black Hand, a hologram, and a few others, the game's main plot is to stop the Masked Singers from bringing the realms of life and death together, and save Kirito's simping crush in the process. To help on your journey, you'll have KK, who has decided to give up on reincarnating, and is now making the new hit light novel titled My Hand Broke and I've Been Reincarnated in Another World as a Hand. And it's why Kirito's hand is black. You can cast various abilities through weaving magic, so if you wanted to become the most badass priest in Japan and send your foes into the wind, then I'm happy to tell you that this is the game for you. Some of these attacks include Chipotle bombs, others are a casual brain freeze, as well as wind bullets made entirely of leaves. All of this, as well as your base abilities and more, can be upgraded via the skill menu. You get skill points by getting XP and leveling up. Shocking. Which you can get by completing the many main and side quests the game has to offer, as well as other activities. Some can include saving souls scattered across Shibuya, looting special collectible items and turning them into cat quartermasters. The list goes on and on. You'll also want to keep track of your income, yes, your income, as you'll need money to buy items like food, drinks, arrows, and other useful items to help you on your journey. This game is letting you know that even in the virtual space, your financial debt will still be a problem. These torii gates are how you open new areas of the map, and they also act as fast travel points. There's quite a few of these scattered throughout the map on the ground, as well as rooftops, some of which can be challenging to get to. You'll start to notice pretty quick that Ghostwire Tokyo heavily hinges on its open world approach, with there always being something to find, collect, or do around every corner. Just don't go into the fog. The fog is coming and you will be railed for it. Perhaps you want to look for collectible items to turn in for Micah, the game's currency. Maybe you want to look for side quests revolving around ghost NPCs, or perhaps you want to suck up the spirits of the people with a paper doll. Or how about waging battle with various visitors and show off your abilities to your fake ex-wife? There's much more that you can get too, like outfits that you can wear to flex upon the populace, and beads that can increase damage for certain weaving abilities, increases health gain by items, and much more. That generally covers the gameplay of Ghostwire Tokyo as a whole. There is so much more stuff like the Spider's Thread game mode, which I'll show after we finish the main game later in the video. And lastly, make sure to subscribe. It's completely free, and you can always change your mind, but you shouldn't. With that being said, let's finally get to what you came to see. Kirito getting absolutely slammed for not getting his GF, just like he did for several seasons of a shizzy anime. The audio language, by the way, will be set to Japanese for that authentic anime vibe. Not that it matters though, cause I ain't gonna play much of the in-game audio for this video, so get wrecked. We open to some guy on a bike driving through Shibuya like nothing is wrong, only for him to then get isekai'd into a fantasy world moments later, so I think we can grasp how this is going to go. We awake to find our mate KK already infused into our body, hence the black babe, and then see his arch nemesis the white babe show up to allow our visitor friends to roam the streets. It's here that we meet the main villain of The Masked Singer, doing his typical evil monologue for time-stalling reasons. We finally get into some gameplay, only to then be thrown into a brief cutscene with Slendy, Ultra Edition, approaching, and thus get introduced to wind weaving. I like how I'm casually making gang signs with my hands. Really cool. I then proceed to fist some ether to replenish my weaving ammo. Man, I didn't think this game would have fisting, but here we are. Welcome to the hospital. I hope you're ready to experience a wake-up call similar to Rick Grimes in The Walking Dead, because that's how lame it's actually going to be. After doing a little bit of trolling, we get to Asuna's room to find that the Masked Singer got to her first and yoinks our girl right in front of our face. Both Giguk and myself are both pissed that our girl just got yoinked. We also get to see a site of potential arson and learn more and more that Kirito is kind of a chode to Asuna. Really makes me glad to hear that even in video games, the male protagonist will always be a huge pain to the people that they simp to. We return outside to head to a place called Yugenzaka to deal with the boys and cleanse the first of 47 different torii gates on the map. We also pick up a collectible as well as a paper person named Katashiro Tomahawk. Hey, remember those spirits that I mentioned earlier? Well, you can save them with these Katashiro papers by delivering a paper version of The Big Suck. You can buy more of these Katashiros at various shops throughout the world, and you turn in these Katashiros at phone booths to get money and XP based on how many souls you have saved. Also, by the way, there's 240,000 of these ghosts, so you'll be happy to know that yes, you will get collector's anxiety when playing this game. Regardless, we proceed to rob our Talking Hands apartment and also rob the bow that was casually sitting inside his house. Not that we're gonna use it that much, because the only reason I would use it is to bone your mom. I mean your anime waifu, my bad. We leave to find that we're actually in a timer challenge and now have to rummage through people's homes to shoot gusts of wind at their things. Don't worry about your belongings, they're gone like the wind now. I also found a Tengu, no not that, a bird that is basically just a shizzy version of Link ascending into your mom. What, you thought getting the torii gates on rooftops was gonna be hard? Honestly, I wish they were. Link just proved it. After several moments of saying you think this is a street fight and doing just that, we find the first of many quartermasters. You can find items scattered across Shibuya and trade them with these cat guys and get money for your efforts. The item locations are marked by yellow circles and will become small bottle icons when you find them. By the way, you can pet dogs in this game. 10 out of 10 game. No further input needed. I also found Baymax in a wall as well, so that's cool. After about 6 hours, I get the thing from the shrine and learn how to become a Chipotle master, which is dope, so that I can now drop my fire mixtape on the populace of Shibuya. Although that would explain why they all left the area 30 seconds after it started playing. And it would also explain why I had an accurate recreation of a Taco Bell after party after reading the script. God, my jokes are weird. I looked for the hole that swallows up everything. Turns out it was actually just a house. I got excited for nothing, alright? I thought there was something better there. I then partaked in some questionable activities, and then found a hot babe with scissors, ready to slice my nards off for not using it just right. Actually, I'm not gonna go through with that joke. Oh wait, I did. We have a pretty good throwdown together in the alleyway. Okay, I think I just made this worse. Shortly after, we learn water weaving, which will come in use later when I have to freeze enemies in place and make my anime waifu soaking wet. I then became a furry and hated it, so instead, I chose the one thing that looks vividly like Roger from Lazy Town. So begins the climb of the tallest building in Shibuya, and bear in mind, I only had to do this once, and I did it like 4 times during my playthrough, so I basically turned this game into Dark Souls, just not in the way that you would expect. Another battle with my potential ex-wife occurs, and after 30 minutes, I find prayer beads. You know, those things that boost your stats? Yeah, those. By the way, I spent like a full hour on this one building, by the way. We see our man at the hour heading to the subway, so naturally, we gotta go to the subway. And I don't mean the foot-long subway either. I jump to commit suicide moments later, and finally leave the building to land in a phone booth. And this new guy is now making me climb 3 more buildings for his quest to get some data on the Blood Moon.
You serious?
I mean, we already know about the Blood Moon, my guy. Hyrule's already pretty pissed about it. We finally head to the underground after this quest, to the Masked Singer's, quote, evil lair. One of the Masked Singers ends up stopping us, and, you know, I'm getting some heavy boss energy from this. Just saying. You alright? Oh. Okay, that's a foot. And that is a, that is Maxor the Banshee Wolf. Alright, I'm dead.
Hey, you. You're finally awake.
Welcome to the first boss of the game, correctly pronounced not as Tasio Toko, but rather an unused enemy from Doom 64. This boss uses the same abilities that Kirito uses, but in a slower yet anal-blasting manner. He's just gearing up to leap on top of you when you least expect it, but let's be fair, Kirito might actually want that, alright? The only thing to do in this fight is to hit him and expose his core so you can rip it out of him. Honestly, it's a great first boss to start with, as in a way, both you and the boss are on the same playing field since you're using roughly 90% of the same tool set. The other 10% is for the random shiz that he's gonna throw at you. I'm not saying that he actually does do that, I just mean metaphorically. Just wait, he'll throw Sinon at you and Kirito will literally cringe on the spot. I just wonder why this was hiding under the mask of this person. I guess it makes sense though, I mean, look at Dream as the evidence. And now that both Dream and this guy's career is over, maybe the boss should have walked back on his face reveal. Just like Dream. So let's finish this furry animal ripped straight from your mom's basement so that I can continue to have Kirito complain about how much KK, aka Klein, isn't a main character. KK and Kirito get separated moments later, and now for this segment, we're on our own with a bow and some arrows. I hope you're ready for the Metal Gear Solid Stealth section of the video because this is it. We return to KK's dank apartment of weirdness to meet the next major character, Rinko, someone who clearly has seen Sword Art Online because her excitement is really low. She gives us presumably her wallet, and we return outside to now see a black trail heading towards something. This is clearly leading to a Toys R Us so that I could spend all of Rinko's money. We arrive at your local zoo park to meet many people such as Sad Child, Womans That Is Happy, and the Headless White Guy. You'll be happy to know that they all died in a matter of seconds thanks to Quick Purge. Moments later, we rescue KK from a magical dice box thing known as a Dyson Sphere, but it's actually a square, to which we then go through a cutscene of the boys talking over their plan. And Kirito actually gets a small chode-size increase from this endeavor. Way to go, buddy. You're gonna need it to impress the women in Shibuya. We also learn wire in this moment as well, so I hope you're ready for me to wire into your DMs and your PC as well to make you subscribe. I will not let you unsubscribe, got it? We then cut to Asuna getting buffed up by the Masked Singer, only for a beam of light ripped straight from Elden Ring to pierce the heavens. Bit of a rude awakening, but alright. During the next, and I kid you not, 8 hours. Lots of exploring, completing side quests, and gathering collectibles would occur. I did pick up one quest that I didn't finish, mostly because it's one of those find a location and photo it quests, and I've never been good at those. Last time I had one, it read, find where your dad left you and photograph it. I meet what I'm going to call a child's nightmare. A flying head with a gown that is throwing the equivalent of Ganondorf's malice at me. I don't remember this thing being in the Zelda universe, but hey, this could just be something that Aonuma was like, that's too scary to put in Majora's Mask, let's cut it. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that I'm now a cop. Better hide your anime CDs, because I'm gonna confiscate them. This guy wants to use the restroom, but can't because, and get this, someone is taking a massive shiz and needs us to get toilet paper for him. Of all the jokes that I expected to be in a horror game, this was not one of them. We now head into some building looking for Rinko, with the intent of talking to her about some business. And we find her casually staring at a holographic keyboard, not giving a single care in the world that the feds just rolled up on her, and are about to deliver some justice. Fortunately, Rinko is another babe in distress, and we have to defend her while she does some completely legitimate hacking in front of a completely legitimate police officer. We head north to the next torii gate only to then be stuck inside a paywall and only have 15 minutes to destroy the stones to remove it. Otherwise, I gotta pay a $15 monthly subscription. There's several hot babes here as well, so I hope you like tiny roads and houses mixed with a somewhat tense section that screams, "You wanna party in the alley?" I helped Sakura get her boyfriend back from the mines, and proceeded to question why he went back into the mine, swinging his stride of luck from side to side.
Meanwhile,
Jizo Street has a parking lot that has what I'm going to call a calamity blight gone wrong. This feels like something that I would see from a nightmare, so I'm just not sure what would spawn from this. Don't worry, it also throws malice at me, so I think Ganondorf, aka Matt Mercer, is in this game somehow. I hopped onto a train to go to Narnia to face off against another one of Ganon's creations alongside Buffman with Mallet. I also went to help this guy find a hidden basement to then meet a new type of hot babe. Meet the previous one, just with red robes instead of white and without a hat. She also seems to be a bit more insane. Perhaps she's an overpowered yandere in disguise. I wouldn't per se mind that this is just a sporadic burst of rage. However, if we're dealing with something that is always pissed, then we're gonna have a problem. We now get to the locker to pick up a key to potentially a girl's room. Excited as all heck, we instead decide to play hide and seek with some kid at Shibuya Station. Because, let's be real, getting into a girl's room is cool and all, but there's only one thing that happens there, and it's not time for that yet, Chief. Asuna don't want you yet. You first gotta get your Riz off a flippin' Sinon. Maybe a gold play button will help you get to the private access treatment. Anyways, we head to Ringo's apartment to the northern parts of the map, only to see the ghost of some chick named Erica point to where we need to go. Oh, right, Erica is another person of note. I'll speak more on her a bit never. We pet several, and I mean several different cats. Good one. Rinto got captured, by the way, so we gotta go deep into Night City to find her. Why Night City, you might ask? Probably because the developers wanted to flex that their world is better, which in my opinion, it is. After leaving gaming's second worst release of the decade, just behind Redfall, we talked to Rinko on the phone, learning that she's now back to normal as a ghost. I can't smash that, devs, come on. She also just found out that we raided her apartment without consent, and that she cannot do anything about it. Get wrecked, ghost woman. 27-ish new torii gates open, and you know what's about to happen, more unnecessary exploration. Regardless, there's these two masks that want to get it on, so we allow them to get it on. I headed to the forest to see the colorful abyss. We enter the so-called shrine to get told to go deeper inside. I'm not sorry for the joke. And arrive at another evil lair. In this evil monologue, we learn that this guy sacrificed his own kid for his endeavors, but that the kid and wife are actually right there, just under the mask. That's kind of messed up. This begins... what happens when you go to jail for breaking many laws.
I'm gonna give you 5 across the ass! Oh shit!
Welcome to the boss that's telling you if you mess up, you're going to hell. Klein is out for this fight, so it's up to us for this one. I hope your anus is ready, Kirito.
My body is ready.
Asuna can't save your dumbass this time. Better get some lube, because judging by the fact that you can't handle women, this is gonna be rough. This fight is probably the most unique fight in the game, in which you'll have to stealth around the battlefield and get behind the boss to pull her tails. What the fuck? It's kinda crazy that the devs were like, alright, so we need a furry in this game. Any ideas? Yeah, what about an evil cat that patrols the battlefield and pumps their victims in outer space? Genius! You know, this boss kinda sounds like how the average white Texas male treats their wife, and honestly, I'm all for it. I will add that at least the boss looks like a cat to some extent.
Serious?
But dear God, if this is what a cat looks like, then I'd kill it with fire now. This is gonna be in my nightmares for weeks. Not the fight itself, no, just the boss herself. This is what I would like to think is the outcome of a how-to basics video if it was done just slightly more morbidly. With that being said, it's time to finish this fight ripped straight from Tom Nook's house and get KK back. That way Kirito can actually defend himself and look like a Sigma male to impress Asuna.
You're getting 7 across the ass!
We cut to a cutscene showing that Kirito ain't getting the girl because the masked singers have something called plot armor, I have no idea what that is, and then generate a giant figure known as the guy from Attack on Titan, but he's made of dust, and begin their march towards Tokyo Tower. Meet wacky inflatable wailing disc man. He likes to fly around in the sky with lots of malice and just generally be annoying. He reminds me of Kirito's sex life. It's so boring that I'd rather succumb to Sinon's pleasure of running over kids in a public park. ominous school theme is ominous. On the plus side, here come the hot anime babes at the schoolyard. Is this about to be school days up in this? Welcome to what is actually a new side quest that was added when this game came to Game Pass back in April. In the short term, this school has its own mini storyline in it, and it's quite long and involved. For example, there's a puzzle in which man made of chili has you solve questions or die trying. Another is having to stare at this mannequin and not turn your back to it, otherwise it will come and rail your face and like this is Five Nights at Freddy's. Markiplier will be proud to know that this is exactly how he feels whenever he dies playing Five Nights at Freddy's. Not to mention there's actually a smaller minigame that has Gasai Yuno in the flesh, and you cannot look at her at all and have to escape her wrath, otherwise she's just gonna stab you. In a cute way, of course, because this is an anime, right? You know, I didn't think Yuno was gonna be this active in this game, and that's coming from somebody who's seen the entire show, so I know how active she actually is, and this is not right. Altogether, this is, in my opinion, the best side quest in the game, so if you get around to it, go check it out. You won't regret it. I walked on some train tracks, hoping to not get hit by Thomas the Tank Engine, proceeded to follow a ghost dragon through a graveyard, and ended up in a hurricane of sorts, preparing to battle even more hot babes. KK then realizes that we ain't getting into the ominous black winds normally, and he tells us to follow his lead. He's leading us to our death, isn't he? I decided to play hide and seek again. The only problem I encountered, though, was that this kid quickly learned that he could teleport, and vanished. I also killed a giant frost lady who, you guessed it, shoots frost. Exciting, I know. I later entered a parking garage that KK led me to, and of course, he told me to go deeper inside. We then find Rinko's custom bike, equipped with some insane tech to make it go through the fog to get to Tokyo Tower, such as natural selection for gas,
I don't like where this is going.
racism against non-black bikes, stop! And my personal favorite of any bike, the edge is below your bum, so it's actually a vibrator. Unfortunately, we need some things in order to get this bike back up and running. I also encountered the Snakeman, so I need to get my pills ready. Barney B will be happy to know that Snakeman is a virus that can jump games, which means we're all screwed in the long run. We get separated from KK again, and have to save him by shooting arrows from long distance. This is getting repetitive, Des. Make Kirito do something else, come on. I then looted a Tear of the Kingdom, and did more exploring, because I mean, what were you expecting, a beeline to the end of the game? That ain't how this works. We arrive at the first of two extremely purple torii gates, and have to go through to get the items we need to fix Rinko's bike. Should be a piece of cake, just gotta run through and get the part and go back out again. You are wrong. Oh, how I hated this segment of the game, and it spent like 30 minutes here. You see, when you get the bike part in each of these torii gate areas, all of the mobs that are in these areas will then respawn, and prepare to come rail Kirito's anus. So you basically end up having two options, either kill everything like a Chad, or run screaming like the weeb you are. I then met a content creator who made her apartment more spiritual, presumably so she can make a discount Logan Paul video out of it. This quest is leading me to this chick's house, which turns out to be the kind of house that a highly paid AV model would live in. Kind of creeped out. Welcome to Hide and Seek 3, the Forest Edition. It took 15 minutes to find this idiot. I find the lost dog, which is actually this dude's brother. Sounds like the relationship that Kirito has between him and Klein. After all, he's not a main character. About another hour goes by, and I finally decide to fix this lady's bike for my own uses. I'm sure Rinko will be pissed off, knowing that I helped all of Shibuya first before fixing her sweet ride. I just hope that Kirito doesn't fall off the bike, otherwise he's gonna end up crying like the baby that he is.
What the fuck is that?
Get over here! Bring me! Ah! Oh my god! Oh my god! The fuck? What's up, bitch? Die, bitch!
360 now, go! Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Eurobeat segment over, let's get to Tokyo Tower, and see a character death immediately, because, well, we needed this right before the final boss fight. Kirito just needed to see Sinon die one more time, alright? Emotionally driven attacking is a real thing. Well, this seems a bit much. You want to go grab a beer or something, or... I'm guessing you already have one then.
Who are you?
Welcome Welcome to the third boss, otherwise known as Spider Jesus gone wrong. Just horribly wrong, with some bleach thrown in. Maybe a flaming knife in there while you're at it. I never would have thought that Miles Morales would get down this bad. This fight has some similar mechanics to previous bosses, but still maintains a pretty basic moveset. You're mostly shooting her neck for some reason. I would have expected her massive bum as the target, but hey, I guess they didn't want it to be weird. Yet they still decided to make it weird because when in the ever-living hell do you kill a spider by hitting its neck? However, I will add the last boss was in my nightmares, but this is just something that I'm gonna see regularly on my daily commute. This boss is legit so fat that even Fluffy would look at this and be like, oh hell no! This should hopefully give you insight as to how cracked my brain is when I'm making this video. Okay, let's finish the spider off so that I can climb the discount Eiffel Tower. Just don't spray any form of webs at me, otherwise I will scream bloody murder even in my bed. We ascend Tokyo Tower to have Mari, aka Asuna, say some pretty messed up stuff, presumably so that we can make Kirito kill himself and end the game. Kirito and the Masked Singer have a standoff, and he asks the simple question of if Kirito ever asked Asuna how he felt. And, well, he didn't exactly answer, so, which continues to prove that yes, Kirito didn't ask Asuna jack shiz. SAO lied all along, didn't it? The boys have a near-death moment, and Kirito snaps out of his weird trauma, only to be brought into another battle. Except this time, it's the first boss of the game, again. The devs legit realized, oh wait, we had like 3 or 4 bosses in the entire game. We gotta have at least 5 before the Big Daddy himself. His movement is a little tougher this time around, but it's still generally the same, so let's just get past this fight for now. Chapter 6 is a bit of an interesting chapter, mostly because its contents is literally just some walking in one boss. Kirito went through what I'm going to call the time spiral, and it's here that we travel through Kirito's memories, and Asuna is saying, once again, some pretty messed up stuff. In a way, this is helping us to keep going forward, and KK and Kirito also have some nice bonding during this segment as well. I also want to point out that the segment from start to end is a whopping 10 minutes long, which is actually saying a lot, because if Asuna really needed to dunk on Kirito this hard, that he really must have messed up behind the scenes back in Minecraft. But alas, we push open the door and prepare to face the Masked Singer himself. But not before a pretty long cutscene plays out that has a rather unfortunate outcome.
Hello everybody, my name's Mark Lund. Come here!
Get this shit off!
You picked the wrong house, fool! Oh no!
We did all this for nothing. Thanks Japan for making me feel like shiz, knowing that Kirito isn't getting any of the forbidden fruit. You know, I've had enough of this guy. Let's finish this game already. Oh no,
Oh, what the fuck?
Welcome to the final boss of Ghostwire Tokyo. Ladies, I need you to put it to rest because this is your downfall. I didn't think this was it, but I'm so disgusted by this guy's drip that Kirito may have to commit seppuku live on Twitch.tv. This fight has different variations of some older boss mechanics, as well as some unique ones as well, such as the green spits, a dedicated ad phase, flamethrower, and above all else, multiple phases. This low-key sounds like a raid boss from World of Employee Harassment, and I love it. The aim of this fight is to destroy the 3 heads on the boss, and each require a lot of damage to do so. The ad phases are also a mix of the previous enemies you fought throughout the game, making this fight feel almost like a greatest hits fight. But let's be honest here, the ad phase is here because Kirito needed to see the hot babes he encountered in his travels. Asuna is dead now, so he's got to find a new maiden to simp to. He also does a malice spray, similar to that of the frost spray from earlier, so I'm really starting to wonder if this game had some Zelda DNA in it somewhere. Regardless, this fight is a solid end fight to end this game with. I just only wonder what this fight would have been like on Tatari mode, you know, the game's hardest difficulty. I'd like to think that he looks so much worse in Tatari mode that Kirito just disconnects before he reaches the boss room. He probably just splurts his pants in fear when he sees him, to be honest. So with that, let's end this game and put a stop to the Masked Singer, and no longer have to relive the relationship of the most overmemed characters in anime history, just behind Asuka and Soulja Boy.
Shinji, come stop, Soulja Boy.
Holy crap, it's Mom and Dad. Hey, I'm so sorry about being a simp to a fictional character who won't be my GF even though she's kinda hot. No, I don't think Asuna is hot. You forgive me, right?
Nope.
I'll make sure to do that, Klein. You deserve it, man. Psych. And just like that, my best friend is gone. All of my friends are gone. God dang it, this game's ending is actually really good. What the frick, man? So that's a wrap on Ghostwire Tokyo's main campaign. Sadly, I'm not going to sit through the 20 minutes of credits, and after half of that time, I skipped them. Nothing majorly new unlocks after beating the game, so it's time for the final part of the video, that being the Spider's Thread. If you've seen my video on Hi-Fi Rush, or at least played the game yourself, you probably know of Hi-Fi Rush's Rhythm Tower, and both it and the Spider's Thread are nearly identical in how they are played out. Both modes are a challenge mode, in which you'll scale floor by floor, clearing enemies and bosses while being on a time limit. The biggest difference, however, is that Hi-Fi Rush's Rhythm Tower, you play as your character in its state after beating the game, with all of your upgrades, power-ups, etc. Whereas in the Spider's Thread, you will not be in the same state after beating the game. You will instead be downgraded back to your weak little self, and are forced to upgrade your abilities, gain prayer beads, and buy items to keep progressing through each floor. It's honestly a much cooler change to what Rhythm Tower had already set in place, and it provides a solid progression path so that you don't blitz through the floors like they're nothing. It forces you to take your time and make each floor feel like a real challenge, whereas in Hi-Fi Rush, this would really start to only occur once you start getting it very deep into your tower runs. It also lets me help Kirito relive his experiences of walking Shibuya at night, knowing dang well that he's going to get mauled every time he walks down an alleyway. You can also do a whole host of bonus objectives and challenges in the Spider's Thread that give you bonus money and skill points to unlock new skills and purchase new items. In my opinion, it's in some ways better than the Rhythm Tower from Hi-Fi Rush, but they are both pretty equal in my mind, so I'll let you make that decision. I'll let a short montage play of my time in this game mode just so you can see that even after 20 plus hours of gameplay, Kirito still can't use his fist to save the world.
My body is ready.
What did you say?
Can't touch me.
That's quite big.
Don't fucking run away from me!
So thank God that's over. I mean, it's over, right? There's not more, right?
So, what are my final thoughts on Ghostwire Tokyo? To start, this game took a big risk with having a rather short main story and practically hinging on its massive open world, full of things to collect and conquer. Sounds like Breath of the Wild, to be honest. In my opinion, it works quite well, and the map never felt boring nor dull, with something exciting around every corner. Whether this was spirits or collectibles, enemies to kill or befriend, or a quest to complete. Sadly, however, the main story does feel shorter than I was expecting. I did come into this game knowing that the game's story was criticized for being short, but for what the story is, it's actually pretty solid. And regardless of its length, I will give it a pass this time, as the ending cutscenes did nearly bring tears to my eyes. The acting was pretty solid, and the build-up of events was great. The gameplay is also quite solid, even if it's limited to what basically boils down to a bow and Kirito's fist of sipping fury. In my opinion, the gameplay is simple, but solid enough to make me want to play the game more because of the gameplay. I love being able to wind weave and shoot enemies, or freeze my foes and then blow them up. Or maybe landing a perfect block and countering with bombs. I forgot to mention talismans earlier in this video, and while underused in my playthrough, they are great, and add a whole other element to play onto combat with extra damage and stuns to boot. The enemy variety is a bit of a mixed bag for me. There's a lot of similar enemies in design that can be found throughout the map, since most of the enemies you're going to end up finding are basically just reskinned mobs with some new abilities. For what this game is, the lineup works, but I would have liked there to have been a little bit more variety in the enemy types, rather than it just basically being duplicate enemies scattered all throughout the map. This can also be applied to some of the bosses as well, as you could tell that there were some either reused and buffed bosses, or just bosses that were reused with some new abilities. The horror vibes are also definitely in check, as I felt scared in some instances, mostly because I was concerned if I was going to get Kirito killed due to his lack of self-awareness. Ghostwire Tokyo is a pretty solid game in my opinion. It's got all of the best parts to make for a great time on a weekend. It's now on Game Pass if you want to try it out, and I'm telling you that you should, because this definitely ain't a game to sleep on. But sadly, it's time to end. My name is PandaPowerSauce, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.